He's gone. Okay, he's froze. I thought he didn't respond.
No. Like,
got him. Oh, never mind.
I didn't know. I thought he just didn't respond. I thought he just I ran out of the dialogue tree.
That hot
this
take.
This isn't necessarily an atheist meme though, but like this is out of actual curiosity though. Like for like GSU and for Fanatic though. Like from my understanding, like a lot of like church books are closed, and there isn't this transparency aspect. So how do you actually prove?
Destiny?
Yeah.
Thank you for the raid. That's awfully kind of you. Thank you for the 1,400 person raid? Holy shit.
Nice.
Yeah, that's really kind of you. Thank you so much. I don't know, exclamation point, or I'll shout out Destiny. Not that it like fucking matters. You all know who he is. So but yeah, thank you. That was really, really kind of you. Thank you, Stephen.
Clarifying question.
So to everyone who's new here, my name is Prime. We're doing open walk on panel. We do those 6 days a week. Right now, we're arguing over the Equality Act. Well, we're kind of shifted a little bit, but But anyway, we are arguing over like religious freedom and should there be taxes up and all that. This argument has been gotten really fucking crazy all goddamn day.
They definitely should be.
Yeah. No. Okay, we're gonna get into that. But if you are, if you enjoy this kind of content, this is an open walk on panel where members of my audience, I just walked in, started yelling at each other. It's great, right? We do that 6 days a week. If that interests you here, do me a favor, hit that follow button, hit that notification bell so you know when I'm going live. We do invite-only panels. We do on Monday, the Reverie. We get a lot of big streamers coming through there, including Destiny himself. We on Tuesdays we get our Amazon Lily, our woman/femme panel. On Thursdays we do our All Black Everything panel, which we did earlier today. It was a lot of fun. Shame you missed out. Don't miss out again. A lot of fun. We got real chill panels and real exciting panels, and panels full of assholes. We got them all. And then on Saturday, we have our Primetime Royale. Our Primetime Royale is similar to the Raj Royale that you've used to see previously, but now it's back with more political spin. It's a lot of fun, really cool. Check it out. But first, what you have to do is you have to hit that follow button and hit that notification bell so you know when I'm going live, okay? So we want you to be a part of that. If you've missed out on this content previously, on all the fun, then don't do it again. Now is the time. Thank you so much, everyone who've come in and followed me already. But yeah, I'm so happy to have you here. Again, thank you, Destiny, for being so kind. All right.
Kobe. I mean, no, it was Smugpug, right? He was asking.
I actually just want to ask a clarifying question, but Smugpug can go first.
Yeah, so like effectively, like, because we're making these claims of like it seems like you guys are making definitive claims, like as if you have 100% knowledge of like where these finances are going and how they're being funneling through the system. However, though, like, do you have any sources that like show like the transparency of these churches beyond just taking their word for it? Because like from what I've seen from, I've tried to look at it, and the only source I can find is a.
No. What are you actually asking though?
I'm asking when you're making this affirmative claim of like, oh, these tithes go here, and people's other that separate donation specifically is them going into these particular projects, for example, or like you are making affirmative claims that like when a church or a religious organization is given this money, that it is actually going to these places that they say it's going. And like I'm just clarifying if you guys are acknowledging that that's not necessarily information that we can't know for sure, because most of these organizations are closed books.
We get you. Okay, this would be my stance, and you can hate it, but I don't care. I think that these churches have to submit to the IRS, and I think as long as they aren't being investigated by the IRS, the idea that us on Twitch are going to say that these churches are or are not doing things, are doing things inconsistent with whatever their IRS tax policy is, I think you can make that claim all day. I don't care that you make that claim, though.
Okay. I mean, if you don't care if they make a claim or not, okay, then no.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
Okay, I got you. No, Smug. Here, I got you. It's really simple. Okay. It's really simple. So here's the tax exempt criteria for religious organizations. They have to have these characteristics. Okay, the organization must organize and operate exclusively for the pursuit of one or more charitable purposes recognized by the IRS. The organization's net earnings must not serve to enrich private individuals or shareholders beyond reasonable compensation for services rendered. Lobbying cannot make up a substantial part of the organization's activities. The organization cannot intervene in political campaigns, and the organization's purpose and actions cannot be illegal or violate fundamental public policy.
Hold on.
Fanatic, on exactly those points, though, right? We see that Like there's violations of all the time. Like we see churches actively ignore that, actively be involved in politics, right? Even a fucking souls to the polls. I mean, that's them being involved in politics, right? But like this is a thing that happens. Sorry, why do we have 16 people on my screen now?
Sorry.
Yeah.
As he was brought back in. Sorry.
Sure. Don't have 16 people on my screen. Just put it down to 15. So yeah, this is the and there was the other thing you said. I'm sorry. Enriching individuals. What about the gospel of the money gospel? What is it called? The prosperity gospel. Yeah. Right.
Sure.
So do we understand? Unless there's a difference in how those things are set up, maybe I don't understand that.
Sure. So yeah, there's a pretty easily definable difference.
Yeah. Okay. Please.
Yeah. So it's not easily definable difference, right? So the income, it depends on the income that you're receiving, right? Okay. So in order for you to get your 501c, you have to actually function as a nonprofit organization. Now, the churches actually have two separate functions, two distinct functions. They have one thing which is their goal to proselytize and grow and perform a religious function exclusively. That is the role of the church. But then also embedded within these churches are typically nonprofit organizations that take the form of food banks, food drives, or any of those kind of services, shelters, and so on and so forth. As we already recognize, the vast majority of all of those services happen to be religious in this country. So with that being said, if they're receiving funding for the government, none of the funding received for the government, as exemplified in the Supreme Court cases that I mentioned earlier, can be used to further their church worship. They cannot be used for church. They can't be used for proselytization. They have to be used specifically for the charitable function that the IRS already recognizes. These funds have to be distinguished, which is why these churches have to actually they have to mention these two different things. They have to have a separate tithes and a separate offering. That's why those two.
Okay.
Now,
wait. You have Prime asked this question. I also want to expand on this a little bit because this is another thing that people don't understand that blows my mind. Okay. There are some preachers in the prosperity gospel that also are private business owners, and they have things like they sell commentaries and they sell this and they sell that. Those things makes large amounts of money, and they don't redistribute those funds as us Christians would want, but it's not against their constitutional right to make money. So some of their money may come from the church, but some of their money may come from private businesses and services that they give. That stuff is taxed just like me and your income are taxed, and they become wealthy off those type of things. When you look at it from the when you look at it from the outside, you say, "Oh wait, this is a church doing something," but this is actually a person operating with a private business and making money and paying taxes. So there's two aspects to this: everything that Fanatic said, and there's also people can have private businesses and they can sell Christian paraphernalia and everything else, and they can make money from that, and that money belongs to them. And if they enrich themselves with it, then they do. We would hope as Christians that they would help the church and blah blah blah, but there's no law that makes them do that. And if they don't discriminate in that way, that's why they can buy
hold on.
So then maybe this is my ignorance, because I've been out of religion for a while then where is the actual definitive line that differentiates these otherwise gray zones? So I think you would agree these are very fucking gray zones that you're making.
It's not.
If I don't think this is a gray zone.
If I write a commentary on the Bible and I sell that commentary as a part of my business, that has nothing to do with the church.
Wait, can I respond? The problem is that you're looking at this in a total vacuum. You, Gambit, or just you, the person who comes on streams. You're not Joel Osteen. You're not standing in the middle of a mega church that is paid by Texas state money, that is non-tax exempt, with all these kind of privileges, being like, you gotta buy, if you want to get in the gates of heaven, you gotta buy my commentary. It's not just a vacuum. It's just a vacuum, right?
Colby, this is simple. Can famous people own businesses?
Well, I'm sorry. Say that again.
I would like to say something after you guys, or I'm gonna interrupt you really quick. So here comes the thing. I have been trying to say this about 20 minutes ago. We had a similar situation in Africa. So my name is Mohamed Assid. You might saw me in the news, BBC, Al Jazeera, whatever. I'm a Sudanese politician, the ex-leader of the Sudan Democratic Progressive Party. Nice meeting all of you. And here's the thing. In Nigeria, many of my colleagues and friends over there had met similar, I would say, similar stands with Protestant preachers in the Protestant church, where they were having a lot of money from the donations and ended up with all those private jets, I would say Lamborghinis in Nigeria. I always forget the Morocco, or the capital of Nigeria. I always tend to forget the name of it. and all those Lamborghinis, private jets, mansions, etc., etc., and the list goes on and on. And you see this form of coincidental scamming with all those preachers. And as this gentleman right there said, or I think he's right there, the man with the United Nations flag at his background. This man comes to you, sells you this book. This is a book of general surgery. Says to you, okay, this book will open for you the gate of heaven. You're required to buy it. What Jesus wants you to do. It was God, the Holy Spirit wants you to do. And people would run towards such a thing. The people there are hopeless. You're being a predator. You're predatorizing on people's hope.
Yeah,
this is disgusting.
If you're lying,
it's disgusting.
you don't believe it.
Wait, hold on. Wait,
no, it's disgusting. Yeah. It is disgusting.
I agree with you. I agree with you, but it's a complete non sequitur. So here's where the problem comes into play, right? So we understand that all of these things can be very, very terrible. I'm not a fan of Joel Osteen. One of my earliest memories of Joel Osteen was when freaking Hurricane Katrina hit and he refused to open up the doors of his church and had all these black people sitting in these freaking stadiums, like when he had an actual church that they could have stayed in, a humongous mega church, and he refused to do that. I think Joel Osteen is a scumbag. So if you want to just levy the complaint that you think that some of these people who are receiving 501c status are really nefarious individuals, you're not going to get any disagreement from us, which is why he said we would think as Christians, we would hope that these people would donate all of their funds. It doesn't make sense for you to be so healthy when so wealthy when the vast majority of your parishioners are incredibly poor. It doesn't make any sense. That's something that seems really anti-Christ. I don't believe that Joel, whatever. I'm not going to get into that. My point being, that's a valid complaint, but it doesn't do anything. It doesn't add to the conversation when we're just talking about what are the parameters required by our IRS and set forth by our government and upheld by our Supreme Court that have established and allowed religious organizations to be tax exempt, and what are the qualifications necessary and why. We understand that.
When the church is trying to hoard money in the name of religion,
so some of these
here comes the problem, and it continuously does. They completely break.
Okay. After I finish it, you can go.
Okay, that last thing I'll say. So talking about nefarious individuals does nothing to detract from the fact that
I'm talking about the church.
You're talking about nefarious individuals. You're talking about nefarious. You're talking about okay. You can't. He's interrupting over and over. You can't just sit there and try to use. You can't cherry pick bad examples and say that those specific individuals represent the entire church. If that's what you're doing, if that's the type of argument you hope to engage in, then you're okay. So then if
we're
that's
choosing
your opinion,
leaders. I'm not just using Sally Mae that makes fucking
hold on. Do you know how many church leaders there are?
You mentioned Joel Osteen.
One guy.
There are
I have a link here.
thousands of church
The United States government is funding child abuse. The U.S. Roman Catholic Church used a special and unprecedented exemption from federal rules to amass at least $1.4 billion in taxpayer-backed coronavirus aid, millions of which going to dioceses, paying out settlements and paying for bankruptcy from sexually abusing priests. That's what the U.S. government's paying for, folks. That's what I do. I'm going to work in 20 minutes. About $1 of my taxes are to go pay for some pedophile priest to get off because God. That's what we need. We need to have IRS. Sorry.
That's a mischaracterization. I just, again, as Gambit said earlier, I would disagree with that. I would, unless of course, then they're meeting the requirements and they're actually performing some specific service or some specific good. I would think it doesn't make any sense for them to be able to do that. I'm not a Catholic. I'm not a big fan of the Catholic Church and some of the atrocities that they've committed. But at the end of the day,
it's not just the Catholic Church.
It's the church in general as well. Religion by itself is child abuse.
No,
I would argue.
but
Actually,
that's a fallacy.
telling a child. No. Wait. Let me finish.
You're not in the Overton window. Please get out.
Let me finish.
What the fuck?
So I would.
Okay,
let me finish what I was saying. Fucking A. Okay. So I would argue that telling some like young child who's probably like 5 or younger that like if you don't believe in our God, you're going to burn in hell for eternity is a pretty big like example of like child abuse by itself. And anybody who argues like differently, I don't know, but you're just wrong or like brainwashed in some way.
Categorized underneath mental
child
abuse, by the way.
Does that have to do anything? That has nothing to do with
anything. Wait,
excuse me. Before we go any further, I want to clarify something, please. I'm not anti-religious, religion, by the way. I do realize that sometimes those individuals those leaders of specific churches turn out to be horrible individuals, but not inherently the religion itself supports such horrendous and disgusting acts. Same thing would go for Islam, Judaism, the Hindu religion, or Buddhism, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, we were talking about how such organizations, even when it comes to the Islamic American Coalition, or the the Jewish the Jewish or support organization in the United States, all of those organizations are getting exempted from tax in certain areas, and they are benefiting from such tax cuts to money launder money somewhere else through donations, through many corrupt individuals within such organizations. People have to understand that. That's
but the problem is you guys are grouping every single religious organization. So
this is my point. This is my point. So for Gambit and for Fanatic, what particularly about your church and your church experience do you feel is threatened?
Wait.
I can explain. I already said this before.
No. That's a really bad question, because what we're doing right now is we're having a conversation that's specifically about a law that's going to be generally applied that should affect some sort of normative behavior. So then asking me about an individual position and about the individual application and the individual effect of me as an individual does nothing to talk about what we're saying are the normative implications of this thing. That's a completely different conversation. You're moving it to something that's ridiculous. Why would we talk about our individual experience when we're having a normative conversation? That's stupid. Move on, please.
Is it? No, of course not.
We can talk about both, but okay.
William, to indulge your question. William, I can indulge your question.
Hold on. William.
So, William, to indulge your question, like this, I can even point to the text itself saying that there's going to be instances where you're going to have people in leadership who are going to lead people astray. Now, I'm not going to get into the specifics of it, but that's just generally saying there's going to be people who are co-opting ministry or co-opting any religious thing or any idea in general to lead people to make them believe what they want to believe or what they truly believe.
A lot of chicken shit
bullshit.
So
no, William, because I can say the same thing for a feminist organization who are telling you that all men are trash. You need to join
feminist
our
organizations aren't tax exempt, and they don't say they have the keys to the metaphysical divine reality of the world. That's
who cares if there's who cares if there's
the issue?
I'm not, but no,
you're letting them move the goalposts.
No. I said I would engage them. I said I would indulge them.
Why? It wasn't part of the conversation.
Well, the goalpost hasn't even been moved.
Let him finish.
So let me finish.
Gambit, you want to take a crack at it?
It does not matter what they say. It does not matter what they say. The acts that they take. We already said on this panel that there's a causation of donation that happens within religious organizations. Ooh, bars. I like how I caught that.
Causation of donation. I mean,
now,
people
if you
give
take
more?
away,
Hold on.
because I'm yelling, so I don't want to yell over you guys. If you take away the government funds that allows for them to make those charitable acts, you're opening the door, and I said this personally, you're opening the door for that. Now you can infringe upon non-religious as well, despite them saying we have the keys to the universe and listen to us. All churches don't say the same thing. All churches don't do the same thing. There are some churches who don't. Hold on. No.
Let him finish. William, let him finish. Let him finish.
There are even some churches who don't even believe in the resurrection of Jesus Christ, which is fundamental to Christianity in itself. There are so many different types of churches and things out here. Like,
but you're trying to get away from you. You're supposed to answer about you.
This isn't an individual thing. This is what fanatic.
I'll talk about myself.
But let me finish. Hold. I understand, Gavin.
Everybody,
I understand, Gavin.
Let me try to reach as. Listen. Listen. People here that don't care about religion don't care that there's certain denominations that don't believe in Jesus.
I know they're grouping it all into.
Listen, you're adding. Listen. You're literally wasting the oxygen in the room that you're in. No one cares, right? They don't care at all. They don't care about religion, so they don't give a flying.
Then this is the point. Dude. This is no, because I don't believe that, because they wouldn't keep saying these things they're saying about the God, about churches having the keys to the universe if they didn't care in first place. If they really didn't, and this is what I'm doing. No. Hold on. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm. I just gotta finish. I'm trying not to yell over people.
Okay.
You can't use
everyone.
So this is what I'm saying. There's a problem.
Hold on, Azzy. Everyone shut up. What? Azzy, you got to get to your point. That's the
problem. I keep getting interrupted.
Then,
let me finish.
Yeah, I know, but you get like a long stretch of time, and then someone finally jumps in. So please, right, in the next 30 seconds, get to your point.
King William, you cannot use an individual approach to try to justify that what we're going through is now different from what everybody else is doing. You can't use an individual argument for this. We're talking about religious organizations in general, despite what they say, despite what they do. We're talking about the actual laws that are occurring. The law itself.
I thought you were going to indulge me.
Yeah, just to say what I said in like 20 seconds. You took 3 minutes to say that. That was what I said.
I would have happened a lot quicker, but people is just screaming all the time.
I have to go to work. I want to leave. The problem, is there is differences between religions, but the problem is that the government doesn't see that. The government just doesn't tax them all equally. That's the issue. And so we can have, Mima's Baptist church where they eat gumbo all day and it's wonderful and they give gumbo to poor people. And then at the same time, you have the Church of Scientology, which was made by a man who one time said if you wanted to get religion, or if you wanted to get rich, make a fake religion. That's the issue. That's what we're getting at here. We can talk about how there's, actually my grandma did this great thing. Okay, that's great. We need to talk about the actual effect of these laws in reality. The actual effect of these laws. These laws are making it so pedophile priests can get off. These laws are making it so Joel Osteen can keep black people out of his church and fly big jets without having to pay for tax. This is the issue. I gotta go to work. Love you all. Hail Satan. Bye bye.
But that's the point. That's the point. You guys keep using individual arguments, individual occurrences that happen within religion to try to.
As you know, somebody else
answer that.
Doesn't make sense.
As you're interrupting somebody.
Yeah. So hold on. Dr. K has been waiting very patiently. I'd love to hear from our friend Dr. K. Please, and then we'll go back to William, who wanted to talk. Yeah. And then. Sure. I'll get you guys. All right.
I only raised my hand because they're going to reference me, so I just wanted to get a response.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Go.
All right, cool. Conversations for me and religion are always fun because I'm a transgender communist who's also religious. I get a lot of fun conversations based on that. But plain and simple, religious institutions shouldn't get a cent of government money. All right, that's all I wanted to say.
Really?
Even 1 penny is too much money for a religious institution from governmental
You want to
institutions.
say what the basis of this is? This is just
The Constitution.
What part of the Constitution?
Congress shall make no law
Church and state.
Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion.
Okay, so what they're new to the conversation. Okay, I get it, because we already went through this and we recognized already there have been God knows how many countless examples in which the government has given taxes and not just only tax breaks, but literally direct funding towards faith-based.
Yeah, that's bad. They shouldn't have done that.
But we recognize. I get it. You can have your simple take. But just understand that there are clauses that have been ruled on by our Supreme Court, which is sometimes very anti-religious, but we recognize that the benefit...
Yeah, the Supreme Court is wrong. They shouldn't get a cent.
We recognize that the benefit given, the reason why this is a thing is because these people are performing necessary societal services that benefit large amounts of people.
They're not necessary. Charity isn't necessary.
Churches have been established and have we recognized that the vast majority of charitable organizations have been religious and they've been started by churches. Hospitals.
Yeah, that role should be filled by government.
I would say something very important after him.
Hospitals in this country were literally started by churches. We recognize that the abolitionist movement was largely religious. We recognize that the vast majority of women's shelters and everything else in this country,
civil rights,
the vast majority of all of these organizations have been Christian, which is why the government decided to give them this provision, because we recognize the role that they've played in society.
So it's because you have religion.
Now I need to say something to counter that. I need to say something to counter that. Very important.
Anything until
if I could just finish really.
But sorry, yeah, finish your point, and then we'll move on to William, and then we'll go to Mohammed. All right?
Okay. So at the end, it's cool that you can just say, I don't think it should happen, but we recognize the obvious benefit of these things, and people who follow the data recognize how worse off society would be if we didn't have all of these religious-based organizations.
It wouldn't be that much worse. But okay.
We'll go to William, and then we'll go to Mohammed, and then Eagle Eye. I see Gavin. Don't look, buddy.
You said I was after William last time.
Look. You,
don't say your name.
No, don't Azzy me. That was Azzy. That wasn't me.
I know. I can tell black people apart. Don't worry. All right, let's go, William.
Okay, so the reason why I asked the question is because people are worried about it, and you guys are saying you're religious, and the other people are not religious, and you're religious, and you're concerned about the effect it'll have on your churches. You've mentioned your own churches, and at least I know that Gambit has. I don't remember if Azzy or Fanatic have. But you're talking about, the question is, what is the on the ground threat? Because to me it seems like a moral panic, that you're really worried, you're crushed that this perfectly ordinary thing is going to happen, or that the United States will realize its promise to have a separation of church and state, and you're doing all kinds of things around it. But that seems to be the fundamental thing. So I want to know precisely, in your church, what the topographic impact of this bill will be in your position, in your opinion, and why. And then we can all talk about the reality of it, rather than speculating and going all over the place. We could talk about what in your church is threatened, and is that something that is valuable, and is that something that exists in tension with the Constitution of the United States.
Okay, listen, I don't know, maybe you were absent for the whole first entire hour of this conversation. But one thing that can happen is a church could be required to hire people that have views that are antithetical to the church. That's a basic, easy one, right? So go. We gave you one. Go. What do you want to do now?
All right. Well,
okay. So that all churches, so that my church is in essence is it's gonna have to, it can't discriminate against somebody. How would they know that their views are antithetical? I'm trying to picture that for my church. So somebody comes to maybe they're Jewish, or maybe they're maybe they're Hindi or something like that. So they come and they want to work there. How would I make a decision about them? They're being antithetical to my church and church doctrine.
So
I'm having a picture. So then who would?
Wait, I could answer. I could try and answer. I know you're asking again, but I could try and give you an answer. But let's say someone has worked for the church, but they are not of the faith, but the church is still hiring them. They can work with them, and a position comes open, and it's to lead a youth council or do something that is to start a program that is supposed to help direct people in the faith of the church, and they apply for it, and they say, well, we don't want to hire you because you're not of the faith, you're of this faith. Would that be discriminatory?
What do you need? That should be. Yeah.
If you're hiring from the general public, then yes, it would be. Basically, anybody can run a curriculum. And if they've agreed to run it, there are plenty of non-Catholic people teaching in Catholic schools.
So I want to move on to Mohammed, who's been waiting patiently, and then Eagle Eye.
Well, that didn't work. Here's the thing. I don't remember who specifically said that churches started a lot of the charity work, hospitals, schools. You're actually right about that. In the United States, they were the individuals who, widely generalized and had it in a more common ground. They made such schools and hospitals, etc., and more charitable work, general and common around the United States. But time and time had passed where you realized that people had integrated such services as their human rights, according to the United Nations, according to multiple interregional organizations, the WHO, the UNICEF. Many organizations right now that belong towards the United Nations find out that such things are just, it
sounds. Can I?
It's human rights.
Are you just trying to say that churches started charities, but now they've been essentially either supplanted or they've been incorporated?
They've been outpaced, yeah.
No, they're not. No, they haven't. You're just lying. There's no data to suggest that.
Fanatic. Let's just say,
right now, they are just a big scandal. They are a large, big scandal. That's what I'm trying to. That's the whole thing that I'm trying to pass.
It sounds like what your argument is. It's like you're like churches are the root of charity, but now that we have the plant, we don't need the root, and you want to get rid of the roots, and you think the charity will remain.
No. They are not the roots. They are not the roots. Here's the thing.
You said it was.
They started.
No, he said it's some human function.
They started the idea, but someone else carried and improved on the idea.
Hold on, because I could stop you right there. It's like saying because white women and Asians and gay people it helped out civil rights, that they took the idea and all of a sudden made it better. That argument is that's not a good argument.
Even worse than that.
That's a non sequitur.
Well, screw that.
You're comparing
even
two
worse.
different things.
You're just being factually incorrect. So they haven't been outpaced. Still in this country in 2021, the vast majority of donation and charitable givings, the vast majority of women's shelters, the vast majority of food banks, all of those things are still religious. They haven't been outpaced.
Yeah, that's bad.
Secular is still not whatever.
Something.
I don't care if you feel it's bad. If you're in your feelings and want to feel like it's bad, it literally doesn't mean anything to me. What I'm talking about is objective data. Objective fact is that the vast objective. Thank you.
You're straw man.
I'll finish.
And you're being very emotional.
I'll finish. After I finish, then you can go. Objective fact is that all of the objective.
Okay, one at a time. Fanatic,
yeah, he won't let me talk. Objective fact is that all of these things happen to be religious. So I'm not saying. Now you might want to say, Dr. K, well, it shouldn't be, and it's fine. When we get to a point where the secular world finds some sort of impetus to precipitate that sort of giving, then at that point I'm willing to entertain that argument.
Hold on, this is bullshit.
Hold on.
God, you're a man, baby.
I got you. I love it. When we get to that point, I'm willing to entertain the argument that maybe we can start abolishing religion, and maybe the secular world is maybe the secular world, maybe
I do. Hold on.
And maybe if I can finish, and maybe the secular world will be a suitable replacement. But since we're not in that place now, simply saying, well, it shouldn't be, does nothing to the actual conversation.
Hold on. Okay, so I've been waiting. I've been waiting for like 30 minutes. Let me say something. Jesus Christ. Hold on, please.
Go ahead. Whoa, a lot of people have been waiting. Eagle-Eye Ballard has been waiting longer. Hold on. Eagle-Eye Ballard has been waiting longer. The longest. Eagle-Eye.
What? So, we're saying that religious institutions need to be tax exempt so that they can continue to make charitable donations. What's stopping them from continuing to?
That's not the argument.
What is it?
So then, all right. What's stopping them from being able to make this stuff if we tax them? Like what?
No, we're saying it'll be inhibited. You are inhibiting upon the actions of the church to make those donations. He said that from jump.
Okay. Why?
Yeah, why?
Because they use that money to do the action.
But hold on. But other organizations that don't have that status can give charitably, right? Can do great works, right?
That's fine. The Girl Scouts make a lot.
But the point is, a lot of money. The point is, why?
Can we not?
But the church needs the handicap, though.
Come on.
Let him finish. Ozzy.
No. Gambit. What? Not what?
Can we talk about what the subject was? I don't want to argue against Azzy's points.
Well, wait, hold on. Can I say something? Wait. Can I say something? No, I've been waiting for a long time, PrimeCayes. Please, come on.
Holy fuck! Don't give a shit. I'm deciding. Stop it, please.
Yeah. You asked me a question. Yeah. Okay. Listen, I think that I understand where Az is going. I understand where the people against him are going. There's no resolution to it. Az he thinks that if you remove the tax status, that they're not going to be able to give as much, blah blah blah, and he thinks, oh, they should give it anyway. Okay, cool. That's their opinions. We don't have to engage that further.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. Casino, you can go now.
Thank you. So, real quick,
did you not finish Eagle Eye? Sorry, hon. Did you not finish?
No, I had several things written down.
Okay, go ahead.
It bothers me because I feel like churches do a demonstrable harm, and I think that if we take away their tax exempt status, I don't think that stops them from being able to do what it is that they do. If the churches make less money, I think that's fine. I don't think churches exist to make money. They shouldn't exist to make money.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh my god.
You finished Eagle Eye.
Jesus walked with the poor people. He didn't walk with the fucking rich people, okay?
He still told you to pay your taxes.
Did you finish your point? Eagle Eye.
So churches don't pay taxes. What the fuck?
Eagle Eye.
Jesus literally doesn't pay taxes. Yeah. Go.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
The church does not
Okay,
represent
so
Jesus.
hey,
baby.
shut the fuck up, please. I want to say something. God damn. Okay, so this whole argument about churches needing to be tax exempt to pay charity towards like other poor people or whatever. Like, can we like completely skip that and talk about how like if our country was like slightly better with like actually helping poor people, that we wouldn't need charity in the fucking first place? Why are we talking about like why are we relying on churches or like random people to give like 5% or like 10% of the money that they have to help poor people when the government could do that way better with like one or two like laws, right? Like
the government is doing it.
It's not doing it well enough.
Social Security in New York. What do you think
Social Security is? Wait, hold on.
Social Security. What do you think what is the function of Social Security?
To
keep old
retirement for old people.
Where does the money come from?
How does Social Security help pay like the bills for like the single mom who has like 3 kids working 2 jobs? You dumb fuck. What are you trying to say here?
Okay,
what is wrong with you? What the fuck?
Wait, bro, you're not that smart either, my guy. Because you couldn't listen.
You understand that there's different social policies, right?
Like single mothers.
Why would you bring up Social Security then?
Because
why even bring that up?
Of government to give money to a sector of society.
That doesn't help the people I'm talking about though. What the fuck is?
Gambit really thinks he got known there. I don't know what's going on.
Social Security helps all the poor people somehow. Holy fuck! Like, I don't.
Do you think it helps some poor people?
It helps very few of them.
Wait, do you think your dumbass question was, does the government do anything to help poor people? He gave you one example. He didn't say that helped everyone on planet Earth. He gave you one example of Social Security helps poor old people, right?
Okay. I'm gonna restate my statement one more time, and we can go over this
welfare,
again.
bro. What's welfare?
If the government was better at like redistributing wealth from like this entire country to the less able right now, we wouldn't need charity from individuals at all in order to help these poor people. We are right. Hold on, let me finish. Right now, we're talking about like the completely wrong topic. Like why like we shouldn't rely on churches at all for this type of shit.
We're not relying on churches.
Yes, we are. Yes, we literally are right now.
The question, you're highly begging the question of whether or not we actually rely on. We don't rely on churches. Churches are just facilitating their religious obligation to do it.
Why do these people? Why do these people go to food banks at all if we don't rely to?
You're like there's poverty and the government should solve it.
I go to the grocery store to get groceries.
Oh my god! These people wouldn't need to go to the fucking food banks from the churches if the government was doing it perfectly fine. That's what I'm trying to say here. You fucking idiot.
Is so brain dead. Your argument is incredibly brain dead. Let me explain to you why.
I'm religious.
Holy
He's
smokes.
correct.
Please stop. Please stop. Look, we're talking about right now in our current political system, the efficaciousness of a specific application of a new law that just passed the House. Don't move this conversation to, well, let's imagine a universe in which this is no longer the case, in which everything is rainbows and butterflies, and our government is doing everything that we want it to do, and then let's talk about
what kind of straw man bullshit? Wait, hold on. What kind of straw man bullshit is this? What are you trying to say here?
Finish. No one is arguing about whether or not this is the perfect system. Okay. What we're arguing about is, given the current political climate, given the current political system, the efficaciousness and applicability of the law, and whether or not it's going to have harmful effects. Please don't distort the conversation by talking about your wistful fancifulness inside of your freaking head about what can happen when the universe is perfect. Our government is doing.
This is straw man. This is straw man bullshit. I wasn't talking about a fucking utopia at all.
Between oh my god! Hold on. Okay, don't worry. I can mute every single one of you if you need me to. Then I can just like call on one person or another, right? Okay, great. Thank you. All right, Casino. Finish whatever the fucking point you're making. We're gonna move the fuck on.
Can I respond to it?
Okay, so that's.
Hold on a second. We'll go to GS Camp. We'll go Radov. Then who else hasn't gotten a chance to talk? All right, GSU Gambling Radov. Go ahead.
Wait, what? What about me?
I said the fuck. Finish. I literally just said finish your fucking point.
I wasn't finished. I was talking.
Finish your fucking point.
Okay, so what that guy just said. I'm not looking at the chat right now, but Mr. Fanatic. That's straw man bullshit. 100%. I wasn't talking about a fucking utopia at all. I'm just saying with like a few better laws with like wealth. Like redistribution. Welfare? Welfare.
That exists.
Oh my! Just because it exists right now in this fucking country does not mean, just because we have welfare in like some shape or form does not mean that it's good enough for everybody. You fucking idiot. Stop saying that, oh, we have welfare for like 50 people. That means we don't need to make it better. That's literally your fucking argument right now. Shut the fuck up, please. You're not adding anything to this conversation. Okay?
Hold on.
So
someone else has to say something. Like, your argument is literally just the world isn't perfect, and if the world isn't perfect, why isn't the government making it perfect? If it was perfect, we wouldn't need charity.
I'm not talking about a fucking perfect.
That's it.
I'm not talking about. Wait, hold on. When did I ever say perfection in any sentence I uttered at all? Please tell me. I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about a fucking utopia. I'm not talking about fucking perfection. I'm talking about a few welfare laws is all we need, so that way we can get rid of like church welfare, and also get rid of churches in general. To be honest, like that's what I'm saying.
Okay, dude, I agree with the anti-theistic take here, dude, but you're going about it the wrong way.
Because
go ahead.
Is a world without poor people utopia?
What? Okay, hold on.
Without poor people,
depends on how you.
I'm not even asking for a world without poor people. You realize this, right? I'm perfect. I'm perfect. You asked me a question. I'm fucking answering you. Shut the fuck up, okay? I don't care if we have poor people. I care about what kind of lives these poor people are having. So we can have poor people who like still have housing, still have food, still get free education and these things. If poor people like still have their basic needs met, I don't care if they're poor, okay? I just want people's basic needs to be met, okay? That's all I'm asking for. It's not a fucking utopia to ask for shit like that. Holy fuck.
All right, I gotta go. I gotta leave. I just want to say really quickly before I leave, right? I agree with what's his name? Casino. Water is very wet. I mean, if you were just going to be presenting the most banal statements of all time, we can do that. But in any case, listen, really quickly, I just want to say it's really easy to have these kind of positions when you want to start talking about like the how unnecessary the church is, because a lot of people haven't been in positions where they're so utterly reliant on a church, right? When it comes to blacks in this culture, the reason why there's always been such a significant correlation between African Americans and religiosity is specifically because of the pivotal role that the church has been playing in literal sustenance for a bunch of people. When we talk about these food banks and things like that, these were given by the churches, and largely the recipients of these things were black. The disenfranchised blacks of the 50s and the 60s. I remember at one one point in the 50s, it was in order to get a loan, because loans were because black people didn't have credit. The way that they would actually get their loans was they would get letters from their pastors or the clergy within their church, and they would argue to the person's character, and they would use that as information to justify giving the people a loan for them to be able to apply for a car, because we didn't have any credit because we were so disenfranchised.
I said water is wet. God damn.
Oh, okay, and when we look at the fact that when we consider about with how often that the government has specifically used the church to supplement and complement its efforts to try to take care of some of the poor and some of the disenfranchised. There's a reason why the Supreme Court has never ruled against a religious-based charitable organization. It's because they have provided a super pivotal role. It's really easy from a place of privilege to just sit back, never have been in that situation, never had to sleep at a freaking church because you were homeless. It's easy to sit back in those kind of situations.
Privilege? Do you wait? You know my wait. Hold on. I just got attacked personally. I need to. He just attacked me personally. I need to respond. He attacked me personally. I need to respond.
I don't care. I don't give a shit. Like, I'll decide. Holy crap! All right, don't worry. I can mute you though. It's good. Don't worry.
I don't even know who Casino is. I wasn't talking about you specifically. I was talking about a general statement. Right? I don't even know you. I didn't know that you were white. I actually assumed you were black from your voice. I wasn't sure. I don't know. This wasn't an attack on you. I'm saying in general, it's really easy to have that position from a place of privilege. You notice the same similar thing happening when people who've never had to deal with like trans rights or gay rights or who have never been a woman, like not understanding like some of the implications about the way women have felt, like whatever. So all I'm saying at the end of the day is if you do a short dive into the history and the implication and the role of the church when it came to sustaining black people, then you can understand why it's so insanely alarming for you to say, oh, well, they shouldn't get 501c. They don't need more money. Those charities aren't beneficial and all of those things. Either way, at the end of the day, if anyone wants to debate me on this kind of stuff, y'all can. Y'all know where to find me. I need to go to sleep. I love you guys.
So, one question before you leave, Mr. Fanatic, right?
Sure.
Is your family like startled every time you come on my panel? Like, do they know because like your voice like goes 11?
Just peace out.
No, listen. I am one of 9. Okay, I come from a family of 9. I have 4 older brothers, 2 older sisters, 2 parents. The idea of like we had family meetings. You weren't going to be quiet in a family meeting when you have 9 people trying to jostle for the freaking floor when you have an hour to have it. So raising your voice, they're just like, oh, this nigga's just debating people. Because if I talk to them we can talk about what we're gonna have for dinner, we might raise our voice a little bit. That's just our life.
So you were primed at a young age then for this.
I sure was. I'm the youngest. So that meant at all times, my oldest brother is 10 years older than me. So if I wanted to speak, I had to raise my voice because they were already trying to dismiss me, even though I'm the smartest, I'm the most attractive, I'm the largest and the thickest. I mean, like, I needed to fight for mine. No, I'm messing. I love you all. I gotta go.
And the best at music, right? The best
at music. There's a song on SoundCloud, on Spotify right now called Araya, Ariya. My name as an artist on there is Fanatic, Fanatiq. Check it out, and then you tell me if that music doesn't completely belie the interaction that you see me have today. PrimeCayes. I'll put the link in chat. I love y'all. All right, peace, man.
We'll go to Mohammed, and then who else has their hand up?
Me.
No, it was on me.
We're going to
I was trying to finish though.
Oh, you can go G. You can go.
Yeah, we'll finish up at GSU, and then we'll go to Mohammed, and then we'll go to Sevatar.
Why am I still
muted? Spicy take for people like Casino.
I'm going to unmute.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, if you want the world to not rely on religious donations, then secular people like you should start to support those programs that religious people support. So instead of getting on Twitch all day talking about how you care about the poor and everything else, start donating and creating food banks and go get your secular friends and do what religious organizations are doing today. That's my advice to you.
You think we aren't right now?
Okay, Muhammad.
Not at the same rate.
Okay.
Oh, really? Do you want to go over these? He was talking to me. Let me respond. Holy shit.
Yeah, I was talking to him. Let him respond.
God damn. Go ahead. Okay. So what's the current rate right now? What? You said like 76. Wait, no. You said like 67% of the current like food banks and like charities we have are like our
No, I didn't make that claim at all.
What was the percentage that they gave?
I'm trying to tell you if you let me talk.
Okay.
The only percentages that I referenced were the amount of religious people that give versus secular people, and the amount of people that volunteer time versus secular people. I made no claims about food banks and what percentage of them are religiously owned, blah, blah, blah.
What were the percentages, if you don't mind me asking? The actual percentages.
91 to 66, 67 to 44.
Wait, for what? For which?
For donating and then for volunteering.
Donating and volunteer time.
Donating and volunteer time.
Yeah,
Okay.
you asked, you said something like we shouldn't rely on these faith-based organizations, and you want the government to do it, and the government is not doing it. The faith-based organizations are doing it, so maybe you should start.
No, they ain't doing it either, though.
So let's go to Mohammed. Hold on. Oh, sorry. Mohammed has been waiting quite a long time. Then we'll go to Sevatar.
So there was an attack on secularism and atheism in general. And myself, I'm a deist, by the way. I believe in a higher power. But I want to talk about the Kingdom of Sverige, if anyone heard of it, the Great Sweden. We have a great welfare program, by the way, and it's not paid by any religious charity or church. The government pays for it. You from people having high tax. For some reason, I did ping or mention that gentleman in voice chat, VC chat, but he never answered. We have a great, a great welfare program, and the church doesn't have anything to do with it. It's only from taxpayers and from businesses. And it does a better job than the goddamn churches. And majority of our charity goes outside. God damn it, people.
Wait,
Learn
are
from
you saying that your government collects taxes and gives social welfare to people in your country? Hooray!
Yeah. So what he's saying is what I'm about to say. So generally speaking,
exactly.
we analyze.
Check Sweden welfare, not Swedish
countries. Yes, it is.
No, our charity goes to African
Please.
countries.
So when we talk about charity, we're talking generally about the purpose for charity, helping out the less well-fortunate within our societies, those who are vulnerable. Just so happens to be that based upon countries with better social infrastructure, that they've clearly demonstrated that secular states are able to produce more funds, more resources, and more manpower than any sort of private charity ever could. In fact, there are studies suggesting, in fact, and I can get you those studies later on if you want to play in League right now, that a lot of the money used for these charities and stuff like that, these private institutions, don't actually go to helping the poor people, but for like maintenance on the buildings themselves. Many of these churches are a lot smaller than the government, while maybe these churches collectively can make maybe $50 million to $100 million. States can quite literally throw billions at this and achieve the situation better. And also, there's a lot of negative utility with the churches. But I do want to provide a compromise here, because I think it was Fanatic who brought up the very valid point that one, the conversation is about a bill that recently passed, and two, we're talking about the United States, where over a third of the country unironically believes any form of more governmental power is communist. So we do have to remain practical here.
Go ahead.
So wait, can I ask him?
You respond to that with Dr. K.
Yeah, I want
to ask you, Chris, if he wants to say something.
I want to know if I'm being unfair. Your argument is that the government can collect more in taxes than churches can collect in donations. Wow.
No, my argument is that it seems to
and they do.
Okay.
They could do.
That's not
speaking, they can.
That's not his argument, though. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my argument is that states are just better at accomplishing the goal of charity than any private institution.
Where do states get their money from? The money that you're talking about.
It does.
GSU, the whole point is that the state is more efficient than going through a fucking church. Why would you use the whole point is not using the church. The whole point is not using the church as a middleman. This isn't a fucking. Hold on, GSU, because you're busy fucking condemning everyone for being like stupid or idiot, and yet you're literally advocating to have a fucking middleman system. Like, how's that fucking smart?
I'm not advocating.
That's literally what you are, but okay, fine.
Unlike the government, churches actually push their cult and their religiosity onto people as a caveat for giving out this charity. Not all the time, mind you. There are many Protestant charities that don't do this, but there are also, again, the vast majority of them still put their caveat. Oh, by the way, Jesus loved you, and hey, have you heard of our literature and stuff like that? The government doesn't do that when they give out their help to their people within their country, like in Sweden.
Sevatar, I'm gonna give you a free fucking home run here too. Is for example, the Salvation Army, literally bans transgender people from their women's shelters. on religious grounds. So
beautiful, Dr. K.
Yeah, like that's a
another
perfect
thing.
example.
So that's another thing we need to bring up as well. For it's like, yes, these churches and these private religious organizations do good work as they give food to the poor and clothes to the poor, while also saying that anybody who's trans or gay is a pervert that is going to burn in eternal hellfire. This is like,
all right.
We'll help you as long as you aren't trans, basically.
Can I respond? Okay, listen. All right, this is a zero head take again. This is all y'all give is zero head takes. It's so stupid when I'm here sometimes. Okay, listen.
You don't want to resign to the facts, man. I'm sorry.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
Okay, listen. When the places where they banned transgender women was because those facilities were meant for AFABs, I guess is the name that we would call it, right? And there were reasons that they didn't want to integrate those shelters with trans women. It wasn't just on the grounds that they're trans
What
women.
reason?
He's justifying trans exclusionism. I can't even. He's actually biting the bullet on it. That's crazy.
Please, hey, everyone. If you're not named GSU Gambit, don't speak. I'm going to mute you. The next person speaks while GSU Gambit speaking gets muted. Don't care who you are. Thank you. GSU.
Okay, yeah, listen. Okay. You can say that this is bigotry or whatever. I don't care. The thought was, actually, they pointed to, because we discussed this on an open panel. Dr. K, you were there, I think. There were actual cases of some type of assault, and you can say that it was bigoted to use those cases to further their legislation, but they used those exact cases where there was some kind of assault, and they said that because we don't have the infrastructure to support this, and we think it could be harmful, we're not going to support this. We actually hashed this out on a Prime panel before. Y'all can go look this up. I can't remember the exact stuff, but there were literally things that we talked about.
Sure. This fucking bitch, man.
No, hey, don't call him. Don't no name calling.
I don't know. Say something else.
Yeah, sure. What's your name? Brento Box. You can go.
Could I go after Breto?
I mean,
yeah, of course.
What was the question?
The question.
I was listening. I listening. I just was like.
So we're talking about how like me, Kay, and Muhammad are claiming that the secular state is far more efficient at achieving the goal of charity. It's not charity within itself, but achieving the goal, which is helping the less fortunate within society. Social services. And unlike private religious institutions, the state, at least in the modern day, actually respects basic human rights and doesn't discriminate against you because you like cock when you have a cock.
Or at least less so than churches do.
Because I didn't get to finish. I didn't get to respond to this. 5 head.
Okay, go ahead.
The government collect more in taxes than churches collecting donations, so they're able to do more. This
it's not about doing more; it's about being more efficient.
What the fuck do you think is
more efficient? No! You're straw manning. You're straw manning. Relax.
Chill.
Relax.
All right.
When you say they're more efficient, what exactly are you pointing to? They're touching more lives, you dumbass, because they have more money.
Hey, no need to add on.
Yeah, that's not very nice.
Idiots
language, my guy. Language.
I'm not insulting you. I've been very calm right now.
Come on.
Okay.
Sure.
Right.
Well, here. I can answer Seventh's question.
Hurry up, answer. Then I'm going to go to you,
Sure.
Chris. Then I'm going to go to
I don't know, but I could take your word for it, and you're probably right that the government is more efficient at it. Ideally, you want the government to be efficient. So yeah, if the government's more efficient at distributing charity, then that could be a thing that's probably true. Sure. And the government doesn't.
It is true.
And the government doesn't have the government should have a neutral, equal rights stance on wherever it applies charity. So yeah, it has that benefit too. Yep, that's true.
Okay, great. So we'll go to you, Chris. Then we'll go to Cloudkiss.
I have notes from a while back, so I'm going to try to make this as fast as I can. So, I mean, considering that the government can't even pass a $15 minimum wage right now, I don't think we're getting rid of the need for private charity anytime soon. So I think we should stop acting like that's a real possibility. So that brings us back to the issue of who donates and why, who makes up the bulk of the charity, going back to the correlation causation bickering earlier. And so the argument there, I feel like, is whether or not religious belief or church membership has some causal relationship to charitable giving. We know that people with strong religious beliefs donate more money. We know that donations to religious organizations, at least in the U.S., make up the majority of our charitable donations. So the question is whether or not that's a causal relationship or whether it's a spurious correlation. Unfortunately, that's not something we can randomly test because I can't come and take away Gambit's religious belief and see if he donates less money once I take it away. So then we just have an issue of competing causal explanations, and you're going to have to work really hard to convince me, I think, that there's a causal explanation that's more persuasive than strongly believing in a religion that commands you to give away your riches to the poor, tends to lead you to donate more riches to the poor. So
as long as they're not trans or gay, right? Okay.
So and that, well, okay. So a second, I don't understand why we're acting like churches are like kind of this magic category, right? Because in terms of whether or not they are tax exempt, they fit into the same category as other charities under 501c3. The only difference is that they are default exempt rather than having to apply. And that's because, I don't know, we don't want the IRS deciding what's a real religion and what's a fake religion. I mean, maybe you guys are cool with that. I don't know, but it's not just a church issue. So I feel like what a lot of you guys are talking about with corruption and inefficiency, that's the 501c3 issue. That's a nonprofit issue. I don't think that we need to. I don't think we need to jump to let's tax churches, but leave the Clinton Foundation alone, right? Because
no, Eucharist. Okay, and I wish I thought this before when Fanatic was here. But. All right, so it was been brought up about, oh yeah, that's the thing that's so great about churches, is that they do these charity work, right? But you brought up an interesting point just then, saying that like other charities like have to apply FESTAS, and churches by default, right? Okay, all right, then why not churches have to apply, but not because they're religious, right? But because they're charities. Like, so if they're going to be a charity, right? If they're actually going to accomplish a goal, and not all churches do that. We understand that. I don't think Gambit would argue that. I don't think Az the only one would argue that not all churches are charitable. So instead of giving it automatically, we just make them apply. Again, not only.
Sure. So to my point, I think that's like we're talking more about broader 501c3 reform than we are about like whether or not churches should be an issue. So that goes back to like the overall actual topic, which is the point. I feel like that started this way earlier. It's not really whether or not churches should be taxed. It's not. It's about maybe how we handle nonprofits, but really the issue is the Equality Act kind of stuff of whether or not we continue to carve out religious exemptions for certain types of discrimination. So I know like a lot of you guys aren't religious, but what's really at stake here is what was being brought up earlier is like, can a church be punished for discriminating on the basis of religion if they only want to hire a pastor who teaches what their church believes? And if they do that, and then we eliminate these religious exemptions that y'all seem in favor of eliminating, then they're not going to be able to do that. Whether or not that's fine and good, I don't know. We can fight about that, but we're way afield of that question. And I had a question for Dr. K. So how do you functionally prohibit a charitable organization, a religious charitable organization, from taking government funding? Like, what makes an organization religious? Is it having religious officers, a religious mission statement? Like, where do you draw the line of like, oops, sorry, you're too religious, you can't get any government funding to help poor people now? Like, I just would like an answer for that.
Go ahead, Dr. K, and then we'll go to Glenn.
I mean, we literally have a registry of churches, right? And like people who.
But it's not just churches, right? We have religious hospitals. We have Catholic hospitals. We have it like it's. Like, where do we draw the line of a religious organization that shouldn't get government funding? Should the Catholic hospital in my town not get government funding?
No, it shouldn't.
Okay, well, like, wild.
Oh my.
It should be nationalized.
Yeah, because that really leaves us exposed, right? Because the government, we've been relying on these.
So, for example, the Salvation Army again, or no, it actually wasn't the Salvation Army, but there was like this Christian surgeon who essentially left a trans person to die on the operating table for religious reasons. So, like, yeah, they don't get funding.
Yeah, they were killing black people too.
Wait, it's different from saying this doctor should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Yeah. No, he didn't get in trouble. He was on religious grounds.
Yeah, so the issue what Dr. K is bringing up is you ought not be allowed to discriminate against a group of people if they're like a protected class, and or you're not allowed to discriminate against trans people or gay people because your holy book says that they're sinners and deserve eternal hellfire.
No, I just believe really strongly in separation of church and state.
Yeah, same thing. But let's go to Clavicus, then we'll go to Mohamed and then Marx.
Can I ask Dr. K for a source? I just want to read what happened in that case.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I just want to read it. I'm not saying that you're lying. I'm just saying.
Yeah, give me a second to come get that.
No, go ahead with the conversation. I just want to ask you.
Okay, then Clavicus, Mohamed, Marx.
Okay, so in regard to like the causation versus correlation stuff, that kind of reminds me of something that popped into my studies. One of my actuarial things, they were talking about like no amount of stats and data is going to supersede experience and common sense. There are some things that you're not going to be able to prove statistically, and that's kind of what Eucharist was talking about. And sometimes it's okay to rely on common sense and experience to come to conclusions about things. You just can't say that statistically you can show a causal link. That's all. That's all that distinction is. You can't show it statistically, but you can still come to the conclusion because you have a brain and you can think. One thing what I actually got on here for though was I was looking at like the World Giving Index scores, and I think somebody was saying something about how like Sweden has like more charity, or they do better when it comes to charity, maybe even like volunteering or something like that. But the United States rates like way higher than Sweden does on that index. Australia is like incredibly high, but even Australia has in Australia over. It's a percentage of the population.
Percentage of the population.
So basically per capita. So what they're rating on, it looks like here. Hold on, let me post it in the chat because I'm citing something.
Post it on the chat, please.
And I'm just looking at this really quick. This isn't something like I did a deep dive into. I'm just like looking at some real quick stuff. So I'll bounce out of the chat after this because I'm not going to argue about it with you. If you give me any kind of pushback on it, that's cool. I'll accept it because I haven't looked that far into it. But they rate on percentage of population giving money to charity, percent of population who has volunteered time for an organization in the last month, percentage of population who helped a stranger in the last month. And then there's like a score or whatever, of like an average of the previous columns. For the World Giving Index score. Australia is really high on there, for instance, and then I just did like a quick look on that, and a majority of charitable giving in Australia is actually from religious people as well, and then coincidentally, Australians seem to be like less religious than people in the United States, so that's interesting. I don't know. You can suss that out or make sense of that however you wanted. But I just wanted to throw out that data out there because I think it's really important to keep this as factual as possible.
Okay. Go ahead, Mohammed, and then Mark. Thank you so much, Clavicus. Really appreciate it. Mohammed?
Hello?
You're
muted. You're muted. We can't hear you.
I muted my mic. I wanted to talk about an already concluded topic, so you can just skip me for now.
Marks.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on, you didn't want to respond to what he just said to you? He basically called out your lies and you just didn't want to respond?
I'm checking
why are you
other
like this?
websites and other indexes, and it turns out he's maybe using an outdated one, and the Guardian one is perhaps wrong. Cheers. You can go and Olof Huteveta Churchen Havstavudo.
Oh man!
You don't know what you said.
Wow, he said it.
Thank you.
Hey.
Oh, TOS. Look.
Delete the VOD, Prime. Delete the VOD.
Gambit, are you okay? Gambit, are you okay? Like,
I'm offended.
Fucking obliterated. Was that Swedish you were speaking?
Yeah, Swedish.
That was Swedish. Awesome.
Go ahead, Marks.
Yeah, so the basis of my response, I have to ask this first. Are we talking this whole entire conversation? Are we talking ideally or like practically? Because that would like the basis of my response. Just generally anybody.
Pragmatically, that's what they're talking about. Pragmatically.
A bit about okay, so I'm kind of gonna echo what Eucharist says. So I obviously agree with social safety nets because obviously private, just the government is way better at providing the basic needs for people other than private organizations just because they have more money. But if we're looking in the here and now, it is a fact that religious institutions and private institutions do provide a lot of basic needs for the majority of our population. And if we're talking practically, putting in legislation that would one decrease the church's power by getting them rid of exempt. Getting them tax exempts would hurt people in our community, and two, having to pass legislation that would create a robust social safety net in America to fill the material conditions that the church already passes. I mean, if we're just talking practically, I don't think like these two solutions you're not going to pass them. But if we're talking ideally, then I mean, I guess that's fine. I just want to know what we're talking about.
Marks. But I think what I said to Eucharist in response to Eucharist, I think answers that, right? Like, why should churches have automatic tax exempt status, right? So if it's true that other charities have to apply for the exempt status, then why not churches, right? And again, What?
They do. They
Wait,
do.
yeah, my
father
church
literally, my father literally specialized in helping churches get their 501c3s.
Yeah,
you don't just automatically get it.
Submit
In fact, they made it even more strict. They made it even more strict in 2020 because fake churches were going under. Yes. Hold on. Hold on.
You don't understand what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm not responding to that. No, they're getting their status. Unless I'm incorrect on this, and you can correct me on that. They're getting their status because they are churches. That's not what I'm saying.
They're getting their status because they apply.
No, listen.
I mean, yes. Jesus, the brain deadness.
What? Because they're churches, they get
I'll say it slowly, so you get it. Yes, I get it. As a church, right? You can apply and get that status based on your religious affiliation, right? Like your religious organization. So, okay, you've applied, you get it, right? Instead of that, right? Like, why don't you just make it on their basis of their charity, right? So,
because they're not just a charity.
Because it's true for everybody, Prime. Anybody can apply to have a 501c3. Anyone on this panel right now.
Okay, Prime. I think I have an answer. I think I have an answer. I think I have an answer.
But yeah, wait, because I wanted to answer.
What you're asking is like, basically, why do churches pre-qualify to apply? Whereas if I want to like make a shelter for sick cats or something, I have to justify that. Churches don't have to justify their status to apply, correctly? Correct? Okay.
So I'm looking at the IRS guide for church status. So there are tax exempt status things that everybody has to meet. Organization must be organized exclusively for religious, educational, scientific, or charitable purposes. Things about net earnings, etc. And then automatic exemption for churches. Churches that meet these requirements of IRS Section 501c3 are automatically considered tax exempt and are not required to apply for and obtain recognition of tax exempt status from the IRS. So if you meet those things, you are automatically tax exempt. You don't have to prove that. Now they might come beat down your door and say you don't meet these things, and then you're going to need help proving that you do. But I'm just looking at it on irs.gov. I can put it in the chat.
Please do. All right. Well, see, with that, why not simply make it based on their charity work, right? So if they actually are doing charity work, I mean, look at fucking Scientology, right? Like, are they known for their fucking?
Can I get in the queue too?
So instead, and then we had the prosperity gospel churches and all those other things, right? Like, so
the
instead,
Catholic Church.
Yeah, the Catholic. Well, I mean, but the Catholic Church actually does a lot. Catholic Church actually does a lot.
Yeah,
right?
like protects child molesters.
They do that too. But I mean, in terms of like doing charitable work, I mean, they're amazing at it, right? Like they're amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, they are. No, I'll call it like it is, right? But like, yeah, I don't like them. Why not just have it focus on your charity status, right? So like, if you are actually doing the job of a charity, right, or doing large charitable donations, or however you want to cut it, right, then you get the tax exempt status. Then there's no argument there. There's no argument because it's
inherent. It's inherent. Well, I could respond to that.
Prime, because no 501c on earth is vetted that way. You can start your 501c. There's not a charitability index that you have to meet in order to keep your 501c. Just like Fanatic said earlier, which is what Eucharist just read, there are certain stipulations that churches have to meet because they're like, they're common in society. The reason why what you're saying doesn't exist because no one is held to that account.
Okay.
My 501c.
Why not hold churches to that account? They should be held to higher standard.
Why?
No one's held to that account.
I don't think. Wait a second here. I don't think they should be held to a higher standard. I think they should be held at the same standard. It's just charity work. So I understand that churches. Wait. Please let me finish. Churches have to take care of themselves along with the charity work they do, which is very, very important. It's also okay from my perspective if the church uses its own money to put on maybe like a party or just to get together for its congregation, stuff like that. That's not wrong in my eyes. I think what Prime is saying, that they should get tax exempt status, not because they're just religious, but because they have to meet these things. And you guys are bringing out, yes, they actually do have to meet these things. But if they're also a religious institution, they're automatically tax exempt. I think that's what we're getting into. Also, when it comes to Scientology, people can correct me if I'm wrong, but the reason why Scientology is kind of recognized as a religion today, it's a lot different than like other religions. They basically, or their followers, sued the fuck out of the IRS, or at least people in the IRS. Eventually, the government gave up on like keeping their ass down. That's kind of an issue there too. This is a point that someone else brought up much earlier in the panel. I do believe that the government ought to determine what is and is not a valid religion within its own borders. I think that's perfectly reasonable in the modern
That doesn't make
era.
any sense.
Yeah, no, it does make sense. I don't care
because there's little clauses in the law that prohibits them from doing that.
Yes,
I think
he's talking ideally though. No, he said
listen. The government doesn't
establishment clause.
The government doesn't necessarily recognize what's considered a good religion, nor should they. That's against.
Oh, so I can just create my own religion.
You can. You can walk outside and go get followers right now.
Wait. So that's why I said odd. So now you can't just create your own church. You can just create your own religion.
But that doesn't mean that those people are going to meet the tax
requirements.
The IRS policy.
That doesn't mean that they will meet. That's not what I said. Sorry.
So what the hell are you saying?
Sorry.
Yeah, your audio switch. Could you repeat your last sentence, Avatar? I didn't catch it.
Yeah, so I was just trying to clarify a few things. It was clarifying what Scientology is, clarifying your point, Prime, that what's his name? Eucharist said that reading the IRS website, if you are a religious institution and you meet these standards that he said earlier, you're automatically tax exempt. Rather, it should just be if you meet these requirements and you've proven to meet these requirements, you are tax exempt. It doesn't matter if you're a religious institution or not.
I'm pretty sure that's probably what the case is.
Okay. So religious institution, the word religious institution isn't within the exemption requirements. Like there's no clarification within the. I'm looking at the IRS website right now. There's nothing saying about religion specifically. I'm just making sure. In order to be a charitable, there is none. So it's not because they're a religious organization that they're automatically exempt. In fact, I guarantee you. Okay, so can you refute that?
Because
I can clearly say
it's page 2.
Page 2, recognition of tax exempt status. If you meet these, you're automatically considered tax exempt. Next paragraph says there's no requirement, but churches can seek recognition of that tax exempt status. But they are default said to have it if they meet those requirements.
Yeah,
this is at the same time. So to respond, I want to because I didn't finish. I just let Eucharist respond.
You interrupted me. I didn't finish.
Prime threatened everybody with mute to let you finish. Come on now, you gotta relax. So like I was saying, Eucharist. Okay, so Eucharist said, so churches can then go forward to prove that they meet the requirements, even though in some circumstance they are automatically recognized as charitable organizations as and they meet exception requirements. Isn't that what he said?
There's no automatic. There is no automatic recognition. They must meet those 3 requirements. Those 3 requirements are what churches use, but it's not. That's just the avenue that churches use. That's what Eucharist is saying in the law.
So, what I'm saying is it appears to be that if you meet these requirements, you can go ahead and you're a church. You are default exempt. And then the IRS can come in and poke at you later and say, actually, you don't meet these requirements. So maybe they should do that with Scientology.
Because you'll get audited. Yeah, exactly. Like if you don't and you get audited, and they find out that you don't meet the requirements, you're going to end up with a big fine, if not worse, jail time. So regardless of that, right? Charitable organizations are generally, because the church gets so many donations, they have to file for 501c3, because if not, every single donation that they would receive would be taxed.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah, but do you know how many donations that they receive?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we get that. Yeah, we get that.
But then it would defeat the purpose of charity.
Okay, what?
Yes.
Right, whatever. Okay.
It would defeat the purpose entirely.
Look, I don't want to. I think we've already.
Can I say continuation of the conversation, Prime? I think this might be interesting. Yeah, sure. Do you believe that churches, do you guys believe that we should maybe pass a law where religious organizations or just charities in general can lose their tax exemption if they've committed some sort of thing? For example, I constantly bring up the Catholic Church and harp on them for the atrocities they commit about moving child molesters to different countries to escape justice. I unironically believe the United States should should go against the Catholic Church and do soft power measures to hinder what the Catholic Church has done, the crimes they've committed against the United States and the people of the world by moving child molesters around, and amongst other massive issues that they have done. I think the Catholic Church in general should just lose its tax exemption.
Yeah. So okay, what about Gamma? What do you think about that? Like if you've done something wrong, right? So it's not something that'll stay with you. What do you think?
A lot of our conversations regarding religion are becoming very circular. So we had that talk like 4 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago about that school, right? That had some individual that did something bad, and the whole thought process from everybody on y'all's side was, because something bad happened, this entire school should be scrapped. My argument is always going to be the same as it was.
It's something bad happened, and then something bad is continuing to happen. It's not stopping.
No.
The church didn't just molest one boy. The church has molested people over and over and over and over.
It's not just the action. So like every organization like has bad actors in it. We're gonna recognize that. But what I take issue with is that the Catholic Church just doesn't go, oh man, these are really bad actors. Let's just give them over to the police and be completely transparent about this, and not use the donations from our followers to put them on a private Vatican jet, fly their ass over to a third world country where they can continue being a predator. That's what the Catholic Church does. The Catholic Church, so if I can finish, the Catholic Church will figure out that there is a predator within their congregation who's committed multiple sexual assaults, if not outright rapes against people, children, women, men, etc., etc. They will quiet it down. They will make people sign non-disclosure agreements. Then they will fly that person out to another country to escape justice. That's my issue with it.
Yeah. So like, it's a difference between like Gambit. Like there's a difference between something
Israel does with the Jewish
I'm joking.
pedophiles.
It's the difference between having simply bad actors, right? And like Sevatar was saying, everyone has bad actors, but then there's a difference between facilitating bad actors, right? So using all that money that you've been able to keep because you're tax exempt to facilitate the bad acts, right? Like that's a criminal organization.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
It's aiding and abetting.
You want me to ask you a question? Okay.
Sure.
Any organization conducting child sex, like hiding them and all of this, they should be investigated to the fullest extent of the law, and they should all spend the rest of their lives in jail. However, if there's no criminal case, I don't know what to say, right?
No.
We can't work off a world without
That's not the question.
Hold on, there are plenty of criminal cases, but beyond that, doesn't even matter. That's a thing. There are plenty of these criminal cases.
Listen, Brian, this is simple. This is simple, Brian. Okay. If there's a Catholic Church that's condoning child pedophilia,
the whole organization has.
No, they don't condone it.
No, not condone. But yeah, no one said no. I'm saying
moving them to different places to be predators somewhere else.
Yes,
that's condoning.
I'm not exactly.
Yeah.
It's a scandal.
I'll post the Wikipedia article for you guys.
Okay. Use whatever adjective you would like if you don't like the word condone, even though this is literally what it means. But yes, if there's an organization that is in any way perpetuating, facilitating, condoning, liking, complicit, all of those adjectives, we can name 1,000 more if y'all want.
I think they're verbs, but go ahead. Facilitating.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, yeah. But anybody that's doing those actions should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, period.
Okay.
Religious or not.
But you're not answering.
You're taking care of the effect. You're taking care of the effect. You're not taking care of the cause.
Yeah. So like for my
cause isn't religion for pedophilia.
Wait.
It happens a whole fucking lot for religious people, though.
It's not religions.
Weirdly enough.
Okay, everyone, please. Gambit, you haven't answered my question. Just answer my question, please, right? Should they lose their tax exempt status? The organization, yes, individuals should be prosecuted. We all agree. No one's going to disagree with you there, right? So individuals should be prosecuted. But during that criminal investigation, if we find out that organization itself has facilitated that actual behavior, should there not be consequences for the organization?
Okay. Depending on what level of the officials that are facilitating it, potentially, yes, I'd be A-okay with it. If the top dog of the organization is perpetuating and he's just passing down that responsibility to everybody else and he's orchestrating all of this, yeah, absolutely. But if there's one guy doing it and there's one other lowly guy that's helping facilitate it, then I don't think that goes against the entire organization.
That's not how that works in other organizations, right? Like for well, theoretically for banking, right? And like for the medical field, right? Like it doesn't have to be like the CEO or whatever of a hospital, right? That has like sent out orders.
Yeah, I don't want to argue over titles.
No, I'm not arguing over titles either. I'm just saying that it doesn't have to be coming from the top. I'm like, if your organization has had a failure, a massive systemic failure, whether or not like the people in the C-suite understand what happened, right? Like, you can still be held accountable for it, right? So like, I feel like same thing should be true for the church, right? Like, let's say they did know, but like, let's say the Pope, let's say the archbishops didn't know, they did know, but like, let's say they didn't. And below there was failures, right, within their organization. Should there not be consequences for you not doing a good job? Like it's not like sure you didn't know, but you were a bad steward of your organization, and so there's consequences to your organization.
I think there is somewhere in this realm something that I could agree with. I don't know if we're gonna get to it here, but yeah, I think generally any organization that's doing this and it seems that they are facilitating it on a mass scale should be punished in lots of ways. And if taking away 501(c) is one of those, then hooray. Right?
Okay, fair enough. Then you answered the question. All right, you, Chris, I want to get back in there. Yeah.
Just really quickly. So, I mean, there are ways that people lose 501c3 status all the time. It's been a long time that I can find since the IRS has published this, but in 2011, they published a list of almost 300,000 organizations that had lost their status because of failing to file their 990 forms for 3 years or for violating any of the other principles. So yeah, we have mechanisms. So it's private benefit, lobbying, political activity, unrelated business income, reporting obligations. These are ways that businesses or organizations can lose their tax exempt status. I think those should be enforced more. And what sounds like what you're talking about, Prime, is maybe we need another category of if you're complicit in some sort of blatant corruption. Sure. I mean, with Catholic stuff, it's a little bit hard because I would hate to think that because like members of Catholic hierarchy are causing like some pretty bad things to happen over here, that like Catholic hospital in the Midwest that's doing a lot of good work for COVID loses their tax exempt status. It gets more complicated with like these hierarchical organizations. But I think what we're talking about is nonprofit reform more than anything. Like there should be more enforceable ways for punishing organizations that are doing things like lobbying as a nonprofit. So.
This is why I said it defeats the purpose of charity, because if you're doing anything other than charity, you are not a charitable organization. You will not get a 501c3. And if you get audited and they find out you're not doing charitable acts, you're going to lose your 501c3.
Sure. Bagel, this is why I said you came in a while ago. Did you want to say something? And we can hear you typing Gambit. Bagel?
Sure. I just wanted to maybe tack on a sort of underlying idea that I don't think anybody has really addressed is the idea that religion is not just Christianity, but just religion in general is like a staple of the United States. So before you can really start addressing, these policy changes, you're going to have a shift in how, like, the average American citizen understands religion's centrality to human existence. So, like, if you were to just take a poll of any American on the street, they're going to generally, a majority of them are going to say that they are religious in some way or another. And until that sort of changes, it's hard to equate churches with charities because they have a special status in the minds of people, across the country, by being what they are. So I think a lot of sort of policy objectives need to account for the fact that this is just how people think about religion as a central place in American life.
So are you saying, are you saying that religious organizations are more than charities?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Yes, religious organizations do function in more than one ways than just as charitable organizations.
Everybody here agrees with that, but we're arguing over. Yeah, we're arguing over like their tax status. Like everybody agrees.
Not really, because we started off talking about whether or not they can discriminate against sex, gender, and sexual orientation, and then we just
never
got
actually got a chance to finish.
I mean, do you just want to move the conversation to its like logical standpoint? Where are we gonna go into like a straight up anti-theistic meme?
No, I think it's what Eucharist said, which is what I said originally. That's why I say Eucharist is the real God, because I said that before too. Because if you start attacking churches based upon they have moral mistakes, but they're moral organizations. So if they make moral mistakes, we can just punish them on that. Okay, fine. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about legal action, whether or not the Equality Act is going to now forcibly make churches ignore their doctrine and put people who may not be aligned with their doctrine, who are not like sex orientation, and gender. That's what we're talking about, and that's what we straight.
We should.
Yeah,
I think we're also saying.
One second, everyone. Oh, stop, please. No. Marks, go ahead. Finish your. You want to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna answer Bagel. So I kind of made your point earlier, but like in this like current topic, we're talking about ideally. So like the question was, I think should churches, if they commit like something against the law and facilitate it, should we take away the tax status? So we're talking ideally now. To answer Azzy's point, I think you were talking about earlier about like the new bill that was passed, and like I just posed to you, this is probably gonna start another question. If there's a separation between church and state, I mean, should churches be allowed to like basically break the law of the U.S.? I mean, it's already so discriminate against gay people.
But then again, I say there are churches that have gay people in leadership, and they're called gay churches. There are churches that have women in leadership. Yes. Not gay churches. You can clearly hold on. You can clearly tell that they facilitate and they have homosexuals in or people of different sexual orientation.
How do they facilitate homosexuality? It sounds like a lot of fun.
I'm not saying I didn't. I did not say they facilitate homosexuality. We're talking. I'm talking about having.
Has a thing on that.
I just want to finish, bro. Yeah, this is why y'all get impatient.
I'm sorry, AC. You can go.
Like, they allow people. What we're talking about is employing people to be in leadership roles. This is really the main argument. Allowing people who are not aligned with doctrine to be in leadership roles. That's because and I can say already, churches have people who are homosexual, who are in their choirs, who facilitate their choirs, who facilitate other positions, who give out food. There's plenty of people who have different.
Wait, because I respond.
Yeah, but I didn't finish.
Fab has been waiting for a long time to say something.
Just to really hardly push back against this idea that the Equality Act will now force churches to install gay pastors or install just even leaders in their church. If Pascal referenced it like when he was on here, that there's the
Pisco.
Pisco, sorry. People call it different things, I'm so sorry. Is that it's called like the ecclesiastical
church?
No, not the church. No.
Ecclesiastical doctrine.
No, in a legal sense, the ecclesiastical exception is that if that discriminate laws against discrimination don't apply to a church that like the Catholic Church says we only employ male pastors.
That's the Establishment Clause.
No, that's not.
It's a different thing that exempts them from protected class.
So churches are able to discriminate on who preaches their doctrine or who is installed, who is baptized in their church.
Yeah. Here's the problem is though. What you're saying is that they've extended it, right? What you're saying, I know what you're talking about, right? But I'm talking about who are like the pastors.
Can I get in the queue?
But yeah, sure. But they extended that exemption, right? So like when it came to like schools, if I'm not mistaken, right? When it came to schools, who can teach there? Was it that you're gay or or that you don't particularly believe in the religion or something, then they can also do that. So you're not part of the clergy, but like you're just a worker there in the organization at all, and then they can discriminate against you. That's definitely wrong. I hope Gambit would agree with me that's wrong. But I'm not sure.
Well, it sort of like depends on the role in which you are in the organization, and so specifically with teachers, if you are in a Catholic school and a part of your curriculum includes that church's doctrine, then that borders on the line. That person's position is one part doctrinal and one part something else. You know, they're a janitor, but then they also, do the Sunday service. Okay, like. They
Sure,
have two roles. The teachers are leading a Bible study, but they are also teaching you about, Thomas Jefferson. It's like, okay, they're still employed, but they're still, if they have a doctrine part of their job.
I get you.
If they are just a janitor,
I gotta go to bed soon.
Sure.
I gotta go to bed soon, so I just wanna say, okay, so just to bring it back, and I believe Eucharist said this as well, because if we use the Equality Act to start determining whether or not, or whether or not we can take churches to court or fine them if they don't allow people who apply for leadership positions who are online with doctrine to be in those positions. I feel that once we start doing that, it's not only going to affect religious organizations, it's going to affect non-religious organizations. And I brought up if you have a feminist organization and they don't want a man in charge.
We got it. Oh my God, let's not just go back on that.
That's fine. Wait, hold on. There's no problem with that.
Guys, I appreciate y'all. We didn't talk about enough about that, but we just harped on religiosity.
No, we didn't talk enough about that. Holy shit, we talked about it. We covered that. We already covered that.
We talked about non-religious organizations.
Oh my God, yes, we literally did. We spent like an hour doing that. Yes, we did.
I'm gonna check the VOD. Have a good night. Appreciate you.
Wait, hold on, Ozzy. I got one question for you before he leaves.
Oh my God, no, please, just go. Bye. Sorry, thank you. We got to move on. Sorry. So we had Gambit. You still there?
Yes.
Hey. So, what was my question? God damn it.
Should the janitor be able to be discriminated against?
No, not the janitor. Janitor. Excuse me. Not the janitor. Not teachers. So, what?
Right now we're talking about like religious, organizations and whether or not they should be tax exempt. Basically. Yeah. Also talking about like religion, like in general, things like that. But yeah.
That's not okay. If a church or religious organization or religious group is doing a practice that I find immoral, I believe I ought pressure them to stop doing that shit. I doubt that many people would be okay if I, like, for example, started a form of Christianity that said no black people allowed. Because that used to be a dominant thing throughout the United States for a very long time. You can make an easy comparison between black race being a protected class and sexuality being a protected class. Would you be okay? I doubt anybody here would be okay with a church saying, all right, guys, this is like Romans 8, no black people allowed in the church because they're subhuman and shit like that. I doubt anybody be okay with that.
The difference between being okay with it and then being legally able to do so.
Okay, I don't think you should be legally able to say no black people allowed in your church because they're subhuman.
Yeah, no, let's not allow
that. For a constitutional amendment that then removes the freedom.
No, you can literally just say that churches are. You can just get rid of the legal term that you were talking about here.
Yeah,
churches cannot discriminate against.
That legal term is based on the First Amendment, so you would need.
Okay, sure. Then you if I grant this, then yes, I would amend the Constitution. Okay, I don't care.
Yeah, perfectly. Yeah, that's fine.
I don't give a shit what your holy book says. I don't care what your voices in your head think. What you think the voices in your head are telling you to do. You're not allowed to discriminate against protected classes. That's fucked up.
I see you, Eagle Eye. One second. I just want to ask this one question. Then, Gambit. So is that as well? Like that'll be fine if they could just discriminate against race, right?
Yes, I wouldn't care.
Okay. All right. Well,
that's great.
So I have a question.
Eagle Eye's been waiting, and then we'll go to you, Brent.
That pretty much answered my question. My whole point was going to be that, basically that churches used to discriminate against black people. Would GSU Gambit or any of the other religious panelists be okay if churches were started to actively start discriminating against black people, saying can't have black people in positions of power and leadership positions. But if he says okay, then whatever.
Yeah,
Jesus, he's actually biting the bullet.
I literally don't care at all.
Can I jump in?
Brento.
Okay, yeah. So I have 2 questions, but I think I know the answer to you guys' first one, so I'm just gonna ask it really quickly. So if a teacher who is gay and is working for, let's say, like a Catholic school, right, and is openly gay, let's say that's the case, do you think they should be able to be fired for being openly gay and working in a Catholic school if it's against Catholic doctrine?
I just asked.
No,
okay,
it shouldn't be.
so people say no, right? Okay, so my second question is, okay, let's get there real quick.
But there's a loophole. There's a loophole. I need to say something.
Question,
there's a loophole,
okay.
actually.
But before we go into the loophole, I have a question. Sorry, the second question. Let's say someone is working for a public school and they don't discriminate in any direct way, but they've been vocal about being anti-gay. Should they be able to be fired?
Yes, you're not allowed to push your views onto other people.
Well, you're not pushing your views on it.
You're not allowed
just
to express your views.
No. You're not pushing your views. It's just known that
You said they were openly anti-gay. That's
yeah,
pushing
they're,
views.
it's open. They're not pushing it. They're not promoting it. They are simply just.
Then how are they openly?
You
then
are
they
not
can't be
allowed
openly
to
anti-gay. Then.
expose- Yes, I believe in a public school system. It behooves the teachers to not express their personal opinions about these kinds of
to express their opinions. Exactly.
Okay, so that means there's like a stance that you have to hold to work for a public school, but you have to be pro-gay or at least not openly against gay, or to work for public school, but you cannot be against it working.
Hold on.
For a Catholic one?
Wait, hold on. Stop. Please. There's a difference. There's a
really quick.
No. Wait, hold on.
I've been waiting.
Hey, whoa, everyone. So Muhammad's just waiting, so we'll go to Muhammad, then go to Casino.
Okay, fine.
All right, thank you. So here's the thing. If you're a homosexual and you're working for a Catholic school, they could say, according to your contract, if they are kind enough to allow you to work in the first place, you cannot express your homosexuality within the parameter of the school or engage with any form of homosexual open discussion with any of the students, whether inside or outside the school, or else your contract will be terminated. They could be nice enough. I'm saying, quoting, nice enough.
I got you. You're making stipulations, but I'm speaking more broadly than that. Oops, sorry.
More broadly than that? Most likely they won't do that. But I'm saying if they are kindly enough.
Well, I guess I'm saying more broadly because I'm comparing these two things, right? So someone who works at a public school pushes nothing and does not promote it, but then they go home and on Twitter they say that they don't agree with homosexuality and they make it public. And then there is a gay teacher working for a Catholic school. They don't push anything during the school, but then they go home and they are openly gay on Twitter and posting pro-LGBTQ things.
Okay.
Is it with their
which one should be fired?
Wait, hold on. It was my turn to talk anyways. Jesus Christ. Okay, so I would argue that there's a big difference between just being gay or like just being trans versus like your actual beliefs that you hold. So someone working at a Catholic school who's just gay, it's perfectly fine for them to work there. But like someone who's like actively anti-gay, who can actually like change like being anti-gay, like is like completely different. Like you can't even compare.
Yeah, one's a sexuality and one's a like social position. These are two different things.
That's a belief.
Yeah, okay, it's a belief versus a sexuality. Like I would argue that like
you can't change your
sexuality,
right?
Sexuality, you can't change your belief.
So it's the immutability. You think to be gay or maybe to be trans or anything in the LGBTQ is an immutable trait.
Yes.
So
yeah, and
trans people. Okay.
Trans people don't even believe this. Like this is so zero head. There are trans people that say I decided to be trans at age X. They don't
name the person, please. Name one. I want to hear this shit.
Can we not get into the trans debate? This is gonna
no. Don't let him walk away from what he just said. I need you to name one trans person. You're not gonna walk away from what you just said. Yes, name a person right now.
I have no idea about the people on Twitch.
Exactly.
Okay. I haven't talked personally to people on Twitch about what made them make that decision. Okay. I would assume you can poll them when you see them and ask them, right?
So you can't name like a single person. Okay, fine.
I mean, ideally there'd be no.
So you were just talking out of your ass. All right, there we go.
No, great.
No, I literally know somebody on my Facebook.
One day, literally one of these streams, we could get throughout the entire stream without mentioning trans people. Like, it would be, like, I don't know if we've accomplished it in months. Months.
No, but
sounds like you're trying to exclude them.
I mean,
no.
It's a lefty podcast, kind of hard to do, bro.
Trans people. The conversation was that sexuality is immutable, saying that people can't choose to be gay, people can't choose to do whatever they want.
Yeah, you can't choose to be gay. No.
You think you could choose to be gay? No, I think you're saying choose to be. Hold on, maybe.
Wait, I can't live.
Hold on. I think. I'm.
Do you choose to be straight? Like.
One second. Hold on. I want to be charitable to our friend. Joe, the city service, has told me I should be more charitable, so I'm going to be charitable. So I think what Gabby is saying is that choosing to engage in the activity, right? So like choosing to transition doesn't mean that a person doesn't feel like they are not the right gender, right?
Thank you, John. Wait, Prime. Thank you, John, in the chat. He linked to a trans person on Twitter that says being trans can absolutely be a choice, and it doesn't make trans people any less deserving of respect. So y'all can go argue with
well, that person's wrong too.
ILLIA.
Okay, so
you do realize you can both be wrong, right? Some random Twitter person doesn't prove your argument, bro. What the fuck?
So I'm literally trying to.
You asked for one.
You asked for somebody.
You said a bar.
Are they even trans?
Now this person isn't.
Okay.
I asked for a trans person, but I don't know if the person was trans.
Yeah, come on, guys. Let's continue on with the conversation. Actually, I gotta go. Great talk, everybody. Sub to Prime.
Yep, have a good one. Thank you so much. All right, go ahead. That.
Just to go back to that Brento's question and sort of the public school versus the Catholic school, gay, anti-gay sort of situation. The only difference between those two is, I mean, let's just sort of kind of almost flip the argument. What if there was a pro-gay church, pro-gay Catholic church, in another alternate reality we have a pro-gay Catholic church or pro-gay church?
Pretty fun.
And it'd be pretty fun. And gay Pope would love it. Anyways, they have, you know, a religious belief that you have to be pro-gay, and then they employ someone who they know is straight, and they are not okay with straight people, but they employ them nicely. But then this person is, you know, talking about being straight on Twitter or whatever, and they fire them. That would be okay. Let me rephrase that. That would be legal. Now, the question of is it okay, or do we agree with the church discriminating against people, is a completely, there's two different arguments. One is a legal argument and one is a moral argument. So
no, I think we're asking whether or not the legal argument is valid by asking if it's moral. We're comparing them. We're not just stating whether or not it's possible legally, and
morally,
then morally.
okay, so it's like morally, I oppose their decision, so then I wish to change the Constitution to make it legal for them to not make that decision. That is a perfectly reasonable stance to have, but I'm just sort of just getting at that point towards like, if you morally are against it, correct? Just sort of like morally against them making that decision, then your avenue to make it to stop them, if you wish to stop them legally, would have to be a constitutional amendment. That's my main point of just contention. It's like the only way for you to actually do that is or get some sort of ultra liberal 5-member Supreme Court that that would last for multiple generations and never have another conservative majority to overturn that decision.
Okay, I understand what you're saying to the question that I asked, right? You're saying this is how you would overturn it, this is how you would affect the government to make that change. The question was like, it's essentially, when I asked the two questions, it says this person should not be fired for expressing their sexuality or their views openly outside of the workplace, and this person should be fired for expressing their views on sexuality outside of the workplace. This is a public school, and they're expressing their views on homosexuality, and they're against it outside of the workplace. And the answer that I received generally, maybe not from everyone, but I'm going to say, was they should not be able to hold that position or they could be fired. But a gay person working in a Catholic school expressing their sexuality outside of the workplace should not be fired.
Wait, hold on. Outside.
If we have a moral,
of course, they're not doing it in the workplace because we're talking about schools. So
right,
yes.
If we have a moral agreement that being anti-gay is morally wrong, then we should not employ people who we find morally wrong.
Right.
But
it's sort
of like almost it's hard to try and compare our actions that we take to people who are employed in a public school to actions that a church takes in a church-based school.
That is the case, except for now, because of the legislation that has just passed, that has come into question, which is why the debate is occurring at all.
Right. And that
Yes.
and the answer to that question is that church is still going to be able to do that. It's still going. The courts have already decided that they were able to do that because there are state laws that are just the same thing as the Equality Act. State laws saying you cannot discriminate, you cannot do this, and in those states, gay people fired from Catholic schools filed cases saying this is violating this discriminatory law saying you can't discriminate, and the courts have said churches are able to do this.
Yes, that's what they said.
They've already said that.
Okay, so just to check, they did already say that. Things have changed recently with the passed law, and we're asking, is that still the case?
The Equality Act is the same exact thing that's on the state level, and it's the same exact thing that the court has already addressed. On the same exact basis that would happen again. It's the same exact thing.
Yeah,
so
I just
all
wanted to
what
clarify.
happens is you just have another case just reiterating it again.
Like I brought up earlier the like hiring thing because somebody on the panel had said like I don't think they should be able to discriminate, but you're right. Like the Equality Act as it's currently presented isn't changing the ministerial exception because that's something that came through the courts in the 70s, right? So Title VII comes through and it's immediately obvious because there are certain religious traditions that will only ordain men to their holy orders, that there's a conflict between Title VII of the Civil Rights Act and the hiring practices of these churches. And so really early on you get cases that carve out this ministerial exception, and then it got broadened just last year. But like but so the Equality Act is, I mean, as I understand it, is basically just taking the case that we had that said firing someone because they're gay is legally sex discrimination and extending that to all the categories in the Civil Rights Act, but the ministerial exception is still going to be there. So,
Hey, Pon, sorry, I got disconnected. My router from Comcast decided to start updating, so I'm on my phone now. But so back to whatever asshat that was I was talking to. So you believe that you have the ability to say someone in the LGBT who chose to say that like I became transgender because of my own will to become transgender, you think that you should be able to exclude that person from the LGBT and they shouldn't be considered trans? Is that what I was hearing when I got disconnected?
Wait, what?
First of all, okay, here's a problem. Here's a problem. It's one, we're relying on some random motherfucker on Twitter. So like I don't know what's happening here. And two, right? I want to get to you. Like I know exactly what you mean. So we're not straw manning you. Are you saying that like it's a choice to simply like engage in that like you can be gay, right? But it's a choice whether you actually like ever kiss a man, right? Is that what you're saying? Is that where you're coming from?
No, I'm saying that whether you're heterosexual, homosexual, transsexual, I don't think manifested behavior is innate, right? I think that there can be lots of what's the word that I want to use? Lots of like impulses to do things or blah blah blah. But I don't think any behavior, heterosexual, I feel the same way about people that are straight. I don't think that there are biological things that can cause like manifested behavior.
But
wait, at all?
There can be conditions. There could be conditions that push you to want to do certain things, but I don't think that it's like I don't know the word I want to use, but yeah, you get what I'm saying.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
So you you really think that biology has nothing to do with the actions that like humans take in any way, shape, or form?
Did you not hear what I said? Can you hear?
That's not what he said.
Okay.
Also,
you have 2 ears.
If you can explain it, then I'm a little lost. Unfortunately,
he's making the point. It's particularly in like I know probably a lot of you aren't going to like this, but in Catholic theology and thought, the idea of sexuality being a aspect of identity on like an ontological level is not something that is coherent, and so sexuality is just an expression of human desires. So just because I happen to have heterosexual desires doesn't make me. It's not meaningful to say that I'm heterosexual. In the same way, if I had homosexual desires, like they're just desires. So sexuality isn't regarded as a aspect of identity.
In the church,
well, that's just wrong.
In religions.
I mean, it's controversial, but I mean that's.
It's not just it's not controversial. It's wrong. There's a difference between the two, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, if that's what you think, yeah, that's fine.